Minority Report. Welcome to a special edition of the Minority Report as we celebrate International Women's Day. So before we get into the program, I want to share with you where you can view us. So you can view us live on Tobago Updates YouTube channel, Tobago Updates Facebook page, Flow 121, Hub TV 130 AVS. You can also send your comments, your messages via WhatsApp to 284-6597. So this evening, we have two special guests as we celebrate International Women's Day. And as you are aware, the theme for 2025 is inspiring inclusion, which reminds us that women belong everywhere in every space. And women have been leading in the boardrooms, shaping policies, breaking barriers, excelling in the creative arts, and so much more. And tonight we will be shining a light on the journey of two remarkable women who are in different stages of their careers, and they represent strength, ambition, and perseverance. And of course, this defines women today. And we are celebrating women for their incredible contributions, their strength and resilience as we commemorate International Women's Day 2025. And I am Petal Daniel Benoit. Today I am in a different role. So I am your host, and I am really, really thrilled as we bring this special edition of the Minority Report celebrating International Women's Day. And in studio, I have with me Miss Akisi London. And Akisi has joined us before on the Minority Report. Last year, I think it was. Akisi was one of our guests as we celebrated International Women's Day. And we are happy to have Akisi back with us this evening as we, speak to the resilience, speak to the strength, speak to, the challenges and how we balance all that we do as women. And we also have joining us virtually, we have Miss Lynette Warner Wilshire. Is Miss Wilshire online with us? Okay, so Miss Wilshire is not here yet. So Miss Wilshire will be joining us as we continue on with the program. And at this time, before I delved deeper into, Akisi and who she is and her sharing, I just want to go to a quick break and we will be right back.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Edition celebrating International Women's Day, and this year was theme for 2025 International Women's Day is Accelerate Action, and this is a powerful call to intensify our efforts towards achieving gender equality. And at our current pace, it could take until 2158, that is 5 generations from now, to reach full gender parity. So this theme underscores the urgency for us to act swiftly and decisively to dismantle systematic barriers and biases that hinder women's progress. And together we can and we must accelerate change. So as I indicated, tonight we are honored to have 2 extraordinary women with us. And we have in studio, as I indicated, Miss Akisi London. And yes, joining us, we have Miss Wilshaw. Welcome, Miss Wilshaw, to the Minority Report. And I want to introduce Miss Wilshaw and ask if she could just share with the viewing public who is Miss Lynette Wilshaw, and, what Miss Wilshaw did during her professional life so that the viewers can have a full appreciation of who Miss Wilshaw is.
Okay, I am Lynette Warner Wilshaw. I have been a teacher all my life. Actually, I was in the primary school. I worked there from 1974 until in 1999, I went into the office as a mathematics facilitator. That means that I went around to schools along with others to help teachers in the delivery of the mathematics in the primary school. I worked there until 2012, and then I went to Montgomery as a principal. I retired from Montgomery as a principal. So that is more or less. But in addition to that, I did some private work because I worked with Costard for some time and I worked with USC. As a matter of fact, up to last semester, I worked with USC in the working with primary school teachers and in mathematics.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Wilshire, for sharing. And Akisi, the same question goes to you. Share with the public, who is Akisi London?
Well, good night to everyone. Good night to everyone locked on the Minority Report. Well, Akisi London is a daughter, a friend, a young lady working in the THA. I would say aspiring politician. But a young woman who has been and always will be passionate about advancing the rights of women, seeing strong young women involved in different spheres of life, pursuing their goals and dreams, and always, backing women in every way that I can.
Excellent. So, Ms. Wilshire, back to you. Why did you enter into the profession of education and teaching? And I thought you were retired, but from your introduction, you have indicated that you still continue to, work in the sphere of education. So what motivated you to want to enter that field, and particularly at that time, and what drives you to continue?
I've always liked working with people. And I don't know what caused me to become a teacher, because in my early days, I wanted to be a lawyer at one time, then I wanted to be a banker. But eventually I applied and I got into teaching. I was just about 20 when I started, and I enjoyed. When you see a child comes to you and almost blank, or almost without any knowledge of so many things, and you work with that child and you see the child move from one stage to the other, you feel satisfied. And that sense of satisfaction carried me through my entire lifespan, my entire career or profession. Right? So I love doing that, loving seeing children move from one stage to the other, and even adults. Because at one time when I started working with Custard, I worked with young people, and I see them move from one stage to the other. And I enjoy doing that up to now. Now, it seems as though I can't say no, because USC has asked me on several occasions, and I always say, this is my last semester, this is my last. But whenever they call, I just can't say no, because I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy seeing teachers, young people become teachers, giving of their best. I love to see that. So probably that's what has kept me there till now.
Awesome. And I think there's something about teachers.
Yes.
Because the teachers seem to look so youthful all the time. It's like your teachers never age.
Yes. But I also think it takes a special kind of love and dedication and patience to be a teacher. I don't think we understand or appreciate the work of teachers. And they have to mold minds. They are molding the future.
You are so right, because I remember during COVID. During COVID, when students were at home, and parents had to facilitate and assist with learning and teaching. And for me, that gave me a greater appreciation for teachers, because the patience that it takes to, do this for
over and over.
several hours during the day, and to keep your composure and to impart that knowledge. I had a newfound appreciation for teachers. And Ms. Wilshire, as you continue to impart that knowledge, not only to the young minds, but to adults, you are truly a trailblazer. And Akisi, to you indicated that you're an aspiring politician. What drives you to want to aspire to become a politician?
Apart from seeing my late father and aunt and just older persons that I know around me involved, I think my passion to get involved in politics, in a sense, is to make an impact. Because I feel like, or I believe that if you're not involved to make an impact, then you're just going to sit there and allow things to happen, and you're just going to sit there and take whatever comes at you. Mm-hmm. So my passion for wanting to help, I'm very passionate about helping persons when I can, if I can. And also seeing strong women, female politicians, female leaders, taking the charge, in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean, over the world, serves as a driving force as well for me, for my involvement in whether it's politics, whether it's NGOs, because I'm very involved, in community work, in NGOs, etc. I'm always willing to impart whatever knowledge that I have learned, and always willing to learn as well, because I always say you're never too young or old to learn, and you learn daily. So that has been a driving force for me. And I always like to see women just involved, because they always think of us as just, we always nurture us, we make the children, make the home, keep the family, etc. But women could be bosses too. We can set policies, we can push forward an agenda and lead a country, or lead a board or group or whatever. So that has always been an inspiration for me, and what I aspire to be one of these days.
Excellent. And ladies, you are at different stages of your careers. And, women, of course, can aspire to everything. But as women as well, we aim to be everything to everyone. So we are mothers, we are wives, we are professionals, we are caregivers, we are, you name it. Both Akisi and Miss Wilshire, how did you create that balance as you maneuvered through the different stages of what life threw at you?
Well, if I may begin, I remember in my early days when I was working as a teacher, and I started studying, the lecturer made us recognize the fact that we have to, even in our spare time, we study. And when I started to teach, I would take my work home on weekends. I would prepare my school work on weekends, so that even though at least I wasn't married at the time, but I was living home and I would have to help with the chores and whatever else. But I found the time to do, because I said I wanted to be the best teacher. And in doing that, you have to devote time. But then you don't want to be left behind with your chores at home and the other social life, because at the same time, I went to classes. I went to cookery classes, I went to cake icing class, I went to flower arrangement classes. I went to these things because time seemed to linger longer at that time. It is not like it's right now, because we had time. When I finished school in the afternoon, I would go to one class and then I go home. And even though I would feel sleepy, I made my mind to tell me, well, I have to do so and so and so before I go to bed. Yeah. So you had to divide your time. You had to divide your time in such a way that everything would have a period, and you achieve it.
Yeah, excellent. I think women are natural balancers, in the sense that we are wired to be able to be a wife and be a mother and go to work and come back and make the home. We are natural balancers, and I think throughout your life you should develop a schedule. I have developed a schedule with how busy my weeks are. Sometimes it's from work to meetings to something else to something else to something else. But you always have to make time for yourself to at least to unwind. That's an hour, because mental health is very serious. Really happy it's very important
that you raise that point.
If I make an hour, even if it's just to just stay away from the phone sometime and just relax, or sometimes go for a walk, or sometimes you watch a little comedy, something just to unwind your mind a bit. I think that including that in your schedule, it aids as well in navigating through life.
Excellent, excellent. So, Ms. Wilshire, what do you do to preserve your mental health?
I read. I read a lot, and I listen. When I can't read, I would listen to the video. I would listen to the phone and I love planting. So I'm outside, the flowers. I plant short crops, cucumber. I would just just 3 or 4. I would plant 2 melangen and plant some okra. So I do these things and they keep me going, and I would exercise. I get up in the morning and I would exercise. I'll do some walking. So I have to do these things to stay fit.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we have to do those things.
Excellent. So, ladies, what have been the high points in your career so far or in life? So 2 high points, wins, the things that you you feel that you want to celebrate, and some of the challenges, in your various fields that you may encounter as women. Akisi.
You probably should go to Miss Bush and think about this one. There have been a lot.
A lot of challenges or a lot of wins?
Both. I think more challenges than
so
anything else.
What do you consider to be some of your challenges working in the public sector?
I think as a young, I think this goes beyond gender. As a young person, you're often looked at as not knowledgeable. You may not have the institutional knowledge, but I think young persons are often looked at as you now come, so you have a lot to learn. And that may be true in some spheres, but sometimes I always say I try to work smart, not hard. So being able to marry that youth and exuberance with the experience, carries the work a long way. So sometimes we look at as we don't know what we're doing. Sometimes when we could manage, we could manage. But a high point in my career, lots of words right now. I'm trying to think of one.
Ms. Wilshire, so we'll come back to you, Akisi. What would you consider some of your challenges, being a teacher?
When I can't get through to some children.
Right.
I remember that I am from Lekatu, and I was actually working at Lekatu at the Anglican school at that time. And I had a class and we did test. And when I saw the results of the test, it was so hard with these children and I didn't get through to them, that was a low point. That was my lowest point. I felt it. And then I made a vow. I said, look, you know what? I have to spend some more time with these children and ensure that whatever I do, they grasp it, and so we can move on. Because maybe I was young and inexperienced at the time and didn't spend enough time probably. But my high points, when I see, as I said earlier, when I see students move on, students perform. I said I have been working with teachers recently, within recent times, and sometimes I go to a school and I see a teacher perform. Not really perform, but teach. Let's say teach, right? Deliver a lesson. I feel good. I say, yes, you are doing well, and I commend them and I encourage them. I love that. That's my high point. When I see teachers perform. Look, recently I had, when I was still working with USC, there was a teacher who did teaching practice. I didn't go to the practice, but I saw what she did. She prepared the work. And when I saw what she prepared, I said, my dear, I wish you all the best. I hope you go and do your best. And you're going to achieve. You're going to get through. You're going to be a good teacher. Sometimes from what you see people do, You know that they are on the right path. That makes my day. That makes my day. That gives me fulfillment. That gives me the impetus to go on. Maybe that's why I'm still, every time they call me, I go.
And Ms. Wilshire, again, how do you see the difference in terms of teaching back then versus teaching now when you look at the profession?
It is so different, because teachers had more privileges, I would say. They were allowed to do more to the children and with the children than they can now because there are restrictions and you have to be so careful. I remember talking with a teacher some years ago, and she said, Lynette, be careful. You don't want to lose your gratuity. I said, but sometimes you have to take a stand that might not be in keeping with what the laws prescribe, But you want the best for children. When you get into teaching, you don't go there, at least in my time, for the money because there was no money. There was very little money when I started to teach. And even when I retired, it wasn't as glamorous as it is today. But you get this satisfaction of seeing children move from one stage to another. I said it already, and I'm going to continue to say it. You see children perform. And even when you meet them on the road and they say, hi, Miss Wilshire, how are you? And they could say something that you told them.
Yes.
You taught them, you feel the high point is satisfaction. When you get that sense of satisfaction, you can continue doing it.
Awesome. So if you are to change anything in both your careers to accelerate action as the Team 2025 says, what do you think are some of the things that could be done to accelerate gender equality? Both in the public service, in terms of administratively and, in teaching.
I think, we've seen so in recent times in the public service, women getting more leadership roles. And I think that's a step in the right directions because we have women as administrators, our accounting assistants, accounting executives, and they are managing divisions, they are managing, units and leading them. So I think within the public service currently, we on the right path so far with that. You will find more women in the service as well, than men. It's because, more men prefer not to, as they say, desk work. So, is the balance is more women than men. But, I think within the public service so far, it's on the right track. We're probably a little bit above acceleration.
No, and even as you indicated, Akisi, your aspiration to get into politics, we are also seeing that, a number of women,
yes,
getting more involved in politics, right here in Tobago, in the Tobago House of Assembly.
Yes.
I think this is probably the most number of women, that is involved at the forefront of the politics in Tobago.
What I would like to see though is women being given more of the heavy, quote unquote, heavy divisions to run. I think that would, I don't know if test is the right word, but it will better show that we can manage those heavy division, infrastructure, agriculture, or, those that they consider more heavier than education or health, that kind of thing. But regards to the involvement of women in politics, it has been increasing and growing over the years, internationally, regionally, locally, and that's a really good sign.
Awesome. Ms. Wilshire?
Well, teaching, what would I say? More women are getting into teaching. I guess it's because of the salary. Men can be paid, right? Right? No, because when you think in terms of what teachers get, although they get such a handsome package now, but in other fields, in tea and tech, in
Right.
WASA, in so many the private places, you get so much more for the same amount of work you could probably do. So that men gravitate to these things. But there are the few men who love nurturing and looking at children, see that they are properly brought up and things of that sort. There are men who are doing that, and we have to raise our hats to them. Um, what can I say again? Teaching is something that you have to have a love
Love
for.
for. Correct.
Yes, you have to have that love for children, for people on the whole,
Correct.
and for seeing people develop. Now, there are people, there are teachers, you don't have to be a teacher to see people develop, but at the same time, when you are there, you want to see the children move, you want to see adults move, you want to be able to communicate with parents in a loving way, in a amicable way, this sort of way, so that it calls for that type of attitude, that type of behavior, something that is no long ago, teachers would become priests or lay readers.
Yeah.
Yes, because in many instances, yes, because they have this attitude of caring and loving and nurturing. But today, what should I say? I'm not going to condemn them because it's a different society now. But in times past, that was what was happening because most principals became pastors or priests or lay readers and things of that nature. But today, the attraction is elsewhere. You can't blame them because everybody has to survive and everybody has to see is the future and their children's future. So they go to different directions.
Okay, awesome. So, ladies, we are coming close to the end of this segment, and
time fly by.
Yes, the time does fly when we're having fun, and I just want to have your parting comments or sentiments as we commemorate International Women's Day under the theme Accelerating Action. Share some advice, share some thoughts, just share with the people of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I would just like to encourage young women to get involved in whatever sphere that they're interested in, to get involved to in order for us to continue to accelerate this action. I think only when you get involved is the only way that you can grow, you can learn, and you can further cement your position as a young woman in society, as a leader, as a boss. I say that because my involvement in different spheres, whether it be community work or NGOs or in my little political era, has afforded me opportunities to be a part of different initiatives and programs. Just last year, I was a part of the Seawell program for women in politics. And this was a program with regional women who are involved in politics. And we came together for a two-day seminar, and you learned about the different impacts of politics that women go through. You learn about the struggles, the disadvantages, and it also afforded us the opportunity to network. You meet persons all over the Caribbean. So getting involved in some sphere that you like affords you the opportunity to network and meet other persons and learn about their struggles, their cultures, their, everything that they go through. So that's my encouragement to young women is to get involved in what you're passionate in and see where it will lead you.
Awesome. Ms. Wilshaw? What are some
Yes, and
lessons or strategies as you close?
I like the word encourage, because that's what we are there for, to encourage the younger, at least, well, I'm past young, but she's young still. But we need to encourage the women, encourage our women. Women are usually strong people. They
Very,
are resilient.
very.
And whatever they tend to do, they are competent in it. They spend the time doing it. So we recognize that they are usually very competent in whatever they do. So we just have to give them the privilege, give them the opportunities to sow, give them the encouragement that they would need. Because from time to time, every child, every person needs a little bit of encouragement. You know, a little tap on the
Correct.
shoulder, a little well done. We give them that, and we allow them to sow, to do what they desire, what they love doing. Whatever you love doing, you will do it well, you know.
Yes.
Once you love to do it, if you love baking, you would be baking all the time. If you love driving, you'll be driving and you'll be taking care. So we just have to give them that encouragement and help them to develop whatever competencies they have to the best, so that they will continue to do what they love to do to the best of their ability.
Agreed. And we as
Awesome.
women, we need to continue to support each other.
You are
In
True, very
recent
right.
times, in recent times over social media, you see a lot of women bashing each other, and we can't fight and pull along each other. There's space and room for all of us to shine and to grow and to achieve. So we don't have to be best friends, but you need to be able to support another woman when she's doing well.
Yeah, and I'm happy, you know, that we will end on that note, because Akisi, as you said, sometimes women can be our
Worst
own
enemy.
worst enemy.
Yes.
And, you know, we need to support each other. We need to lift up each other. And a lot of times with our words, our comments, our actions, instead of lifting up, we put
We
down
tear down.
and we
Correct.
tear down. And I think, you know, we need to be more uplifting to each other. Yes, so as we conclude this evening's special edition of the Minority Report, this segment, we want to thank both of these strong women, inspiring women, Miss Wilshaw and Akisi, for joining us on this special edition of the Minority Report. And I really, really want to thank you for all that you have shared, because both women on set and offset, Ms. Wilshaw, is virtual. You know, there are different aspects of their career, and there are two different careers. And, you know, one of the things that joined us all together is that last segment that we spoke about uplifting and lifting up and encouraging. So again, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank all the viewers for tuning in to tonight's Minority Report. And to all women and as well as men watching, let us commit to actions that drive change faster, support organizations dedicated to women's empowerment, mentor the next generation, and importantly, recognize that achieving gender equality benefits everyone. So again, a heartfelt thank you to our remarkable guests this evening for sharing your stories and your insights. And I hope your experiences inspire other women to act with urgency and with purpose. So together, let's accelerate action for a more equitable world. And with that, we will go to a short break and we will return as we continue the Minority Report. So thank you, Ms.
Thank you for
Wilshaw,
having me.
and thank you, Akisi.
best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorns Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorns Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, buljoil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Good morning, put a smile on your
Hi, good evening, folks, and welcome back to this evening's episode of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, your other host, joining you this evening, now coming in. And let me waste no time to say congratulations and a job well done to our first host, Minority Counselor, Mrs. Petal Daniel Benoit. I think the position suited you very, very well. So we have to work on some more programs, more shows. So folks, we want to say thank you for joining us. An excellent segment there, Minority Counselor, and I think it spoke volumes to the cross-section of women and treating with women's issues, not just the negatives, but also some of the advancements and some of those positive aspects of women, things that we've seen change over the years. And And I really want to say hats off to your guest, Mrs. Wilshire, retired principal, and I think you're never ever retired from the teaching profession. I think we've established that. And Miss Akisi London, who we heard quite a bit from in terms of her involvement and aspirations and stuff. And, you know, I will endorse what both women would have said in that. It's very important to be involved. It's important to have a passion. It's important for you to also be deliberate about your passion. And before we continue, and we're going to be awaiting the minority leader who is logging in as well for us to get into this segment. But before we do, minority counselor, nobody interviewed you and heard your heard your view on. So just a summary.
Today.
We International Women's Day. What did this mean to you? How do you feel about when you look back and see? I mean, your mom is always an inspiration in your life. So you would have grown and seen the challenges she would have gone through from since you were a child, and what you now as a mom yourself and a professional is dealing with and so on. How does this weigh in terms of the theme of this year?
No, it weighs heavily because one, well, I have transitioned, you could say, professional careers. So my mom initially was at home taking care of me, and then she eventually, when my dad passed away, so she became the breadwinner, so she had to venture out to work. And you know, in the administrative field, and later on in life while mom was working, when the PNM had gates, my mother went back to school and she pursued her Bachelor of Arts degree. Yes.
Wow.
So, you know, seeing that motivated me, because mommy was one that she was studious. She was disciplined. She, when it's time to do what was necessary, she did what was necessary. And she excelled, and at, I won't say senior, but older in life, she would have gained her Bachelor of Arts in administration, business management. And, you know, growing up, seeing that motivated me. And just as Ms. Wilshire would have indicated that, you know, she still continues to impart and inspire and teach. Clearly, there is no age to stop learning. And once you are able to, learning is continuous. So you stop learning basically when you're dead. So my mom is a great inspiration to me. Her dedication, her commitment. I thank her for all that she has done, helping me to become the individual that I am, and it has shaped me. So as I was talking about transitioning, I am into accounting, and I am an accountant by profession. And as of 2021, I was, you know, thrusted into another direction. And, you know, the both fields are quite different. And, you know, being a politician, so to speak, you know, it has opened your eyes to many, many things. And I think it makes you, or it transforms you, so to speak, like your back becomes broader. You know, and for me as well, it's about service. And I think that's where the two professions kind of marry, because you serve people. And even while I was coming here this afternoon, I was a bit late because someone stopped me, you know, to ask a question, to inquire, because they had a loved one who passed away. And, you know, I took the time to share with them, you know, how they could get some assistance for the family of the loved one who would have passed away. So it's all about service. And then earlier this afternoon, we would have gone to a family who, would have had a sudden death of a daughter, and just being there and sharing. So for me, it's about service. It's about, giving back. It's about sharing. It's about assisting in whatever way that you can, and being that advocate, being that voice for the voiceless, and supporting wherever you can.
I mean, listening to you, and I want to just touch on the very point you made there, and the statement, it's about service. I think that is something that we all miss a lot in various aspects of what we do on a day-to-day. And it's not just in terms of the political field. Listening to Mrs. Wilshire speak as well as a retired principal, she served children and families and has been for her entire life. And it really is about the way that you approach what you do. And even though you're passionate about whatever it is you get involved in, the only way that you become effective is when you have the mindset of service, because whatever we find ourselves involved in, it involves people. Whether it's sports, politics, social work, it always involves other people, and we must always be able to see ourselves as servants of people, regardless of the portfolio that we carry or the job title. And too often we see ourselves, we see people be elevated to a quote-unquote title, and then automatically what happens is that the aspect of service becomes null and void, and then there's a disconnect between what you do, what you're passionate about, and the impact that it's actually having on anyone. Because the only way that we can have significant impact is when people see what you provide them with as really an act of service. And I mean, even as a mom, and before we shift gears a bit, I want you, I know I've seen you operate in the sphere and the realm, and I've seen the high points, the low points, the challenges, the breakdowns, how I heard you ask the question about balance. and that seems to be a very popular statement or word, especially coming out of the carnival, listening to Marshall Montano sing about balance. How do you, or have you been able to balance?
At times, it's been challenging. But to preserve your mental health, you have to find a way to get that balance. And as we were discussing earlier, women play so many different roles. So for me, a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, someone involved in NGOs, various NGOs, being a minority counselor, serving at different levels in the party. Cutting out or finding time to do the different things sometimes become challenging, but it's all about scheduling. So you have to find a way to schedule. And even in terms of your own health and lifestyle, finding the time to, as simple as eating, as simple as, finding some form of recreation or exercise, having that time just to...
It was like me time.
Yes, that me time is so important to your mental health and, creating that balance. Because if you don't find the balance, you won't be able to function in all your different roles.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be the best wife or mother that you could be. You wouldn't be the best politician. You won't be able to help others or serve others the way that you should if within yourself you're not the best you that you could be. And for me, it's about scheduling and finding that me time and going into yourself and just rejuvenating. So what it be is being alone at home or going to the fort and just sitting, watching the Port of Scarborough, or maybe walking up to French Fort, or walking around the community, or just taking a drive. You know, sometimes I find myself going back to my hometown, you know, in Castara, and just sitting on the beach, you know, just watching at the ocean. Whatever works for you, you need to find the time to rejuvenate.
And I mean, using the term rejuvenate and finding the time, it connects directly to the conversation global now that everybody is up on of mental health. And you know, coming out of the carnival season and talking to so many different people, I took the opportunity to engage with a lot of persons in conversation. And one thing that has stood out really and truly is that everybody going through something.
Yeah, everybody. That is so true. That is
everyone has a well-to-do in society. Persons who are prominent in society. I spoke to persons who are considered middle class. I spoke to persons who are considered lower on the rung. And what was constant is that regardless of who they were, they all spoke of challenges.
And that is life. And you will look at someone and you will think that their life is perfect or they are all put together. But behind the scenes, they put aside all the challenges just to show up. And, you know, sometimes even in maintaining the balance, as you were discussing before, say no is a part of the balance.
Yeah.
Because at times you need to learn to say no. And for me, that has been something that, you know, has been difficult to do.
Yes.
But it has become necessary that you are required to say no at times to preserve your own balance and to preserve your mental health. And sometimes based on how you're feeling, in spite of how you feel, it becomes necessary that you have to show up. So you need to put on that external face. You need to do whatever is necessary to show up at times. So it's also about discernment.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing the minority on. The minority leader.
Don't I take the opportunity to welcome the minority leader?
Good night to Councillor Benoit. Good night, Mr. David, and good night to all our viewers, both here in Tobago and logged on the platform throughout the world.
So minority leader, yes, I know good to tell you.
Benoit, articulated International Women's Day.
Thank you, minority leader.
So minority leader, we were just minority councillor did an excellent job of hosting the first segment, but we realized nobody interviewed her. So she was just sharing, you know, so in her responses to some of the questions asked. You're saying something?
Yeah, okay. No, well, I as a matter of fact, I was logged on and really enjoying the discourse, hearing from Ms. Wiltshire, renowned teacher in the Tobago space. And, you know, sometimes you take for granted, especially those teachers back in the day, the kind of dedication that they brought to the job and the sacrifice as well. Knowing when you listen to the salaries that they would have earned, you know, they were doing it definitely for the love of it. And therefore, you know, we always have to pay homage to them and appreciate them. So it was really good hearing Miss Akisi London as well. And, you know, this is the kind of balance we, both in terms of gender, age, demography, social class, and all that we try to maintain on the minority report. And as we are talking about, women and their integral role in terms of the development of not just Tobago, but the country at large, I could not help but read policy that the PNM would have placed as one of its manifesto pledges in that unsuccessful 2021 election campaign, and still relevant today. And that was the pledge where we were going to dedicate a program for single mothers where you would have that kind of support to allow them to, for those who perhaps started school and had to drop out, they would now have a dedicated space where they can leave their young ones, where they would have the young ones would have the care, and they would also be provided with the opportunity to acquire a skill, an opportunity to be trained and retrained. And therefore, it was about woman empowerment and ensuring that, in this male-dominated system, that our women are catered for in a way that would ensure that they are not vulnerable to the various outcomes as to when you don't have our women as empowered as they should be. So as we recognize International Women's Day, that policy position is one that I think is very much relevant in terms of us ensuring that we provide programs that support our women, especially those that are the most vulnerable, especially our single mothers, etc.
Yeah.
Well, very well said, Minority Leader, and thanks for bringing back to remembrance that that policy pledge coming out of the manifesto. ML we really glad that you're on, because before we leave the platform this evening, we want to be able to treat with something that was very concerning, coming out of a press conference that was held last week, where you would have provided the public with some information. Again, we know that not everyone hears things in the first go. So sometimes we have to keep providing a message so that people actually understand and they gain the clarity of what is being said. So I want you to really take the opportunity to share with the public and the listening audience what was said in that press conference.
Well, I raised a very important matter that not just deals with me as the individual and the office of the minority in terms of its role to hold the administration accountable and keep them in check, but also one that simply deals with safety and security. As you would note, just recently we all woke up New Year's Day to that very shocking and gruesome murder in sight of a family where a public prosecutor was assassinated. And therefore, everyone who holds public office, especially serious public office, ought to be very careful at this time, because we are living in different times. And therefore, I was quite concerned, and I thought it was important for me to share with the public some utterances coming from a member opposite, one of my assembly colleagues, as it pertains to threats made what I deem to my life, considering, and it has to be taken into context, because this member previously, and it's on record, would have mentioned in the House to me as a gesture that he has Muslim friends, and I guess that was to hint. I don't know why he would associate the Muslim community in that way, but it was said in a way to indicate that he has Muslim friends and he will deal with me. And therefore, that would have transpired, and while I took note of it, and I did make a report, I did not fully act on it because I felt it perhaps was just in the spirit of the debate. But when such a threat is doubled down by someone saying to you they will send you home, when the only context upon which that comment could have been taken is the one that we know, the street language that we know, when someone is saying basically that they will deal with you again, sending you home. I note the member to the media said that perhaps he was talking in political rhetoric, but even if you look at the current political landscape, the THA elections is still some time away. Therefore, if it was a reference to that, then perhaps the comment is ill-timed because we are still some time away from that opportunity. And therefore, when I looked at the context to which it was said, I had to take the precaution, which was to make a police report, which I've since did. And I understand the member also in question would have been warned as to his use of threatening language towards me. And therefore, I think it is important that we all be very cautious and take the necessary precautions in this current climate as to ensure we not just protect ourselves, but our families and even the offices to which we hold. Because public life is serious business. Of course, you know, as minority leader, I am privy to a number of information. Some I've shared with the public and some I've not yet shared. Some I'm still reviewing its veracity as to decide what is the next course of action. And therefore, some persons may fully be aware that I have information that could be damning to their own political credibility and viability. And therefore, they perhaps may be threatened. And so we cannot take anything for granted going forward. There's a number, as I continue to share with the people of Tobago. I'm this minority leader, and this position that I hold, I take extremely seriously in executing my duties as per my oath of office. And therefore, I take the public purse and what we do with the public purse extremely seriously as well. And this is why I don't just talk the talk. In this situation, we as the counselor and myself and my support staff, we actually walk the talk. And many of the things I've shared with you, I have pursued in terms of sharing it with the various legal authorities, that is the police, ACIB. I've shared with them, and some of them I have received communication thus far as to actions to proceed with further investigation. And therefore, knowing all of this, I think I've reached a point where I really need to be very careful. And any threat to myself and to my life is one I take seriously because of the nature of the work I'm doing and because of the number of complaints, serious complaints, that is currently engaging both the police and the Integrity Commission.
And Minority Leader, before we close, and I'm already getting my prompts, but very quickly, there was another aspect of the press conference. I don't know if you want to elaborate on it a bit, or in terms of summarizing, that we could speculate may have led to something like this.
Well, very quickly, information came to me regarding a pre-action protocol letter with the name Ian Pollard. And in that sought clarity on whether that Ian Pollard that was reported in that pre-action protocol letter as having issues with allegedly encroaching upon private lands not belonging to that Ian Pollard, and perhaps also the theft of soil as per the pre-action protocol letter. I sought clarity first and foremost as to whether that Ian Pollard is indeed the Ian Pollard we all know as the assemblyman and the secretary. And second to that, I also took very seriously the allegations that were made against that gentleman, Ian Pollard. And I'm saying today, if the media ought to find out, because I recognize questions were asked to the secretary and he did not confirm, but we are asking today, and we are hoping that that secretary would confirm whether the Ian Pollard mentioned in that pre-action protocol letter is indeed the secretary. So the secretary, I'm calling on the secretary to confirm whether he has been served with a pre-action protocol letter that is in fact making those allegations, and to also answer to the allegations herein, whether truth to the allegations that were made, because if those allegations are in fact truthful, then it means that the secretary, it means that that Ian Pollard would have broken, in some instance, not just the law, because you have the encroachment, you have the unauthorized breach of the EMA laws with respect to removes of soil, etc. And therefore, the chief secretary must now intervene. The chief secretary must now intervene. And so I will be writing to the chief secretary, indicating to him and sharing with him what I received. And he must go to his secretary and find out whether that is in fact him, and whether those allegations are in fact truthful, and report to the people of Tobago. Because if they are in fact truthful, it means that secretary has no right holding public office.
Wow. Those are some very, very serious.
So we will be writing to the chief secretary. That letter has already been drafted, and I just want to reiterate to Tobagonians again, this minority, we don't just talk the talk, we walk the talk, and we will continue to walk it to the very end.
There's a lot of heavy stuff in a short space of time, minority leader.
Serious stuff as well.
I do, and I will reiterate that when you say it, it is done. And so members of the listening audience and the public, we definitely will be reporting to the public and updating you on these matters as they continue to unfold. Before we close, however, minority leader and minority councillor, we have a significant event happening on Saturday, the 15th of March. And I think that this is historical in terms of the development of Tobago as a destination, and significant with respect to central government, the PNM-led central government's continued commitment to the development and advancement of Tobago. And we already have some footage up. We are preparing, seeing preparations in place for the opening ceremony, the launch, the commissioning of the new, and let me add, spanking new, international standard, world acclaimed design, A&R Robinson International Airport. And I mean, this is a definite hallmark right now in Tobago, and we continue to see advancement even beyond our very neighbors in terms of infrastructural developments and so on. And what is even more is that we continue to see a PNM-led central government who has put Tobago's development on a front burner, as opposed to so many others who come and talk, and they're just obstructive in terms of their participation in any conversation. ML, minority councillor, as we close, comments on this airport.
So I'll allow councillor to go first, being the ladies' gentleman that I am, and in keeping with International Women's Day observances.
Thank you, minority leader. But this is a hallmark. This is a milestone. And, you know, we would have heard about this airport expansion for some time. And we really want to thank the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley for making this a reality under his term as Prime Minister. And for us in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago, I think this development is a step in the right direction as we aim to improve tourist arrival and to further develop the tourism sector on the island. So I know it was supposed to go with a all-inclusive brand, sandals, but I don't think that is totally off the table. We have had, you know, the Marriott investment coming on board. We would have seen the consultations happening. So we anticipate that other hotel brands and chains will be invited to the destination, and hand in hand, this will promote the tourism sector. So it's a step in the right direction as we promote the tourism sector and we develop and improve the tourism sector in Tobago, and we want to continue to, you know, extend our gratitude to the Prime Minister for his foresight and for his action in ensuring that this project came to life.
Minority Leader.
Well, I've said before, this is no doubt the crown jewel in the legacy, the rich political legacy of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And when you look at all the development that would have occurred in Tobago over its entire history, I think up to this time, this is the largest single development that would have been brought to Tobago. And it was brought to Tobago by a Tobagonian, a Tobago Prime Minister under the People's National Movement. And again, for all those who attempt to lay this notion that one, the PNM and the Prime Minister does not love Tobago, I think this project puts that to rest, because without a doubt, this is but the single largest investment, infrastructural development in the history of Tobago, brought to Tobago by this Tobago Prime Minister of the People's National Movement. And again, we just want to thank him for his foresight, his stick-to-itiveness, because there was a time, if he was to listen to the naysayers, this project would have never seen the light of day.
Correct.
But Dr. Rowley stood resolute as a leader he is, very forthright, and would have ensured that today we can now celebrate this magnificent, majestic brand new international terminal that even those opposed to it are now praising outside of Tobago when they go ahead.
I like how you close the Minority Leader, and in the next episode we may probably treat with that. At this time, regrettably, we are out of time. We're definitely not out of words and content, but we continue to encourage those of you who support the Minority Report to continue to pray for us as we continue this journey. I also want to, in closing, issue a general call for us to pray for each other. There are so many situations, health-wise, especially that we're seeing happening in and around us in Tobago, whether it's close relatives, friends, acquaintances, as the case may be. I just want to say to us as I close this evening, let us build an attitude of prayer. The Bible tells us that prayer changes things. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And I think we're at a stage now where we really need to put prayer as a priority in all our lives. Thanks, folks, for staying with us, for logging on. I'm Marlon David, your host. We do look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday. So have a wonderful night and stay blessed.